Next item on the agenda is roll call, please.
Board Member Dennis Romero,
Present.
Board Member David Cordova, Board Secretary Dr. Joyce Meserve, Board Vice President Paul Gonzalez,
Present.
Board President Michael Quintana.
Present. We have a quorum, thank you. Next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Motion to approve as presented. I have a motion by Mr. Meadow. Have a second? Have a second by Dr. Meserve. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is approval of minutes, item A, November 19, 2025, regular board meeting. A motion by Mr. Romero, do I have a second? Second by Dr. Meserve. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item is public input. Do you have any? Thank you. Next item is finance report.
The finance committee met yesterday, December 16th, 2025. The November 2025 financial reports for the general and student activity account were reviewed as follows. The operating and activity bank reports and check disbursements, operating revenue and expenditure reports, purchase orders issued in November of 2025, the payroll journal report, fund balance report, the budget value report, and the budget adjustment requests to include bar 069-2526-0014 and you increased budget bar 69-2526-0015. Do you have those amounts there? For the bar, you have those available there? Yeah, the amounts of the two bars. Yeah. Okay, so the first bar 0014. And the bar 015 is $270,352. The recommendation by the committee is to approve the financial report and the budget adjustment request on November 2025. Superintendent will be the recommendation of the second.
Mr. Chair, members of the board are recommending approval.
Yes, Mr. Mao. Superintendent recommendation is approved as presented, items A to C.
Yes, sir.
Upon that recommendation, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I have a motion by Dr. Meserve. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Gonzalez. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Next item is presentation of AUS 430.
Good afternoon, President, Vice President, members of the board. Thank you so much for having some time on the agenda for this day. As presented in the past, my name is Sarah. I go by my middle name, Amina. I'm the district director on the Technical Health Days. I've been in this role since the peak top 10. So a lot of my job is fire disaster. It's important to me as a member of this community who went to Robertson himself, that we show up and say that we are here for the community through this recovery. So as we're building fences, we have a contract for a fence. I'm making sure that we're asking our local contractors to be available to make that. This is part of my view as we move forward in our recovery. What I'm here to talk to you about today is that the Forest Service is looking for a new district office. If you know, our office is on 7th Street. It's an old army barracks. It was built in the 40s, and it is literally falling through. So we are looking for a new home. We have the funding to potentially build a facility, but myself as well as the Forest Supervisor Sean Sanchez feels like it's really important that as we build new facilities, we also show up in this. Right now, the Legion Park Elementary School is in a vacated building. It's a beautiful building. You guys are paying to get heated and cooled and functional. And we'd like to show up today and support you in your needs, support the community, and still be able to get in the facility. So I've come before you with this proposal and today speaking about how the rest of this to move forward with the purpose of the Legion Park. This conversation in the past has been very much how the federal government is with funding. That conversation, current environment is happening. So I've been looking. I've been looking at our partners with the state and with Tierra Montes Soil and Water Conservation District. As of right now, the local Tierra Montes Soil and Water Conservation District is entertaining the idea of purchasing our property, 7th Street. If we sold that property, we would then be able to afford the park on the street. I'm also still seeking funds that are federally available to just be able to do the purchase. So I wanted to come today to again tell you the story of what that purchase would look like, how it would be really beneficial, and ask about any next steps so that we can set ourselves up for success. So the idea and the concept behind the purchase is that the two big wings of the building there in the Legion Park would be purchased. One to refurbish as an office. We would have our engines in that office, showers for the firefighters, facility to be able to operate the painting field that we need to for this disaster. The other entire building was dedicated to quarters and housing. And I specify that different people. I'm working with a lot of different partners in this area. It's hard to get housing. When we're talking about a GS entry level position, it's really hard to bring people to this area with affordable housing. So this idea not only is the facility that will function well, serve our city, but also gives us the ability to provide housing for those jobs that are entry level. We can work with the New Mexico Forest and Watershed Restoration Institute to also employ in this strategy, and we can partner with state and all of us together find a way that we are creating restoration-based economy here locally, and that we can turn what was a tragedy, this incident, into an opportunity for our community. And so that's kind of the vision. And I wanted to re-engage, make sure that I look for the agenda and that you guys are remembering that this concept is something that the federal government is still wanting and really excited about happening. And I just kind of ended that. What steps we do to make sure that you guys see the commitment and that we're all on the right trajectory towards the solution.
I know you've come here before, and I don't know what the timeline was because a year ago we were going. I have a lot of transition change in our government. How likely is it? I thought we preferred to long by now, 12 months have already gone by. I know you guys need an appraisal and stuff like that. That's my first question. Where we at on the appraisal? And the second question is, I know you want to sell that building at 7 feet, but I didn't want this, and it's obvious that building is nowhere near the size of the property, the building, and the condition that our building is in. So are you going to look for supplemental funding? How are you going to acquire that? Is that something that's secured already? If it's not, then the board moving forward, I think is going to have to do with the best interest of the school district. And that's not something that the board can just save for the next 5 years and try to get the funding and appraisals and see if the government changes or not. So there's a lot of asks there. Can you explain where we're at on the appraisal and what you're going to do on the supplemental funding?
Yes, really good question. And I do want us to be clear on what that feature is. I don't have false expectations. So I think that that's really a need for both ends. But we have completed that appraisal and we bring that updated cost to your attention. We also had our engineers go out and do our federal survey, which is a big part of what we need to have. Our appraisal process, we will be able to offer you the fair value, nothing more and nothing less. So that's kind of what the appraisal is. In terms of supplemental funding, I am already aware that we might need additional funds. So right now I am seeking, and there is an ability to have federal funding. That is not an option that's off the table. I'm continuing that dialogue. But as I continue, I'm assuming that already exploring other opportunities. With the New Mexico State Parks, there are parcels that they are interested in purchasing. And if we do something that will keep them in terms of parcels in the Gallinas Canyon and in the Pecos area, there might be a point where I have supplemental funding to be able to make those agreements. So first of all, I'd like to answer that we are internally with Forest Service funding, still seeking everything that we need to do to make this happen. But simultaneously, I'm looking at partners, getting the Soil and Water Conservation District and the state parks to be able to cover that as well. So we have kind of two options moving forward, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. Really have to look at what is that time frame? When will you need answers? When will I be able to give you clear answers so that you can pivot in a way that you need to? Or
So there is a appraisal running. I'm not aware of that appraisal. Have you seen it, Madam Superintendent?
Mr. Chair, no, I have not. The last conversation I had with, your,
Mr. Sanchez?
no, Mr. Justin.
yeah,
Yes, at that point in time, the November, he did not have, at least he didn't indicate that an appraisal was done.
Okay.
So we would need to see that, in order to proceed with, any exchange, we would have to engage, the appraisal, would go to one of three entities, which would be DFA, it could be the, public school education, department, so it depends on what that is. In order for us to do any exchange, the appraisal has to be done within the year, and we need to have that survey. In addition to that, of course, the board has to make an approval of that, so, depends on when your survey, your appraisal is done, we would have to move within that timeline. If not, it would have to be revised. So, so and I would have to double check with our attorneys, and again, it could be DFA on our side, dependent on if we would need to do an appraisal ourselves. I don't believe so, but those are the requirements for us to set.
Okay, that sounds good. When you look from the city of Monroe, we have support all the way up to the regional forest for this. And it has a lot of chaos. I feel like right now is a nice reset. I wanted to get on the board agenda to find you that we are interested. I'm hearing an action, getting that appraisal to you and understanding if that time appraisal, we might need to redo it and then get you that survey information, really solidify a conversation so that we make a decision point, or at least bring something to the board where a decision can be made.
Correct. And attorneys will have to be engaged on our side so that we can, of course, provide guidance to the district. And then upon that point, we would submit to either one of these for their formal approval. So board can approve it on this end, final approval has to come from.
That makes sense. Thank you very much for helping me understand the process.
Have you guys started the sale to Federal Montes? Have you done the appraisal on that building and tried to get that going? So let's slow down the process with the transaction about 36 schools.
We're initiating that conversation, right?
So if you connect with me, then you and I can do all of the exchanges.
Sounds really good. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you. Hopefully it works out. Next item on the agenda is old business. National item A, academic eligibility secretary.
Mr. Chair, the board policy from the last meeting, so my recommendation is approval.
On our recommendation, I make the motion that we approve the of the board policy.
I have a motion by Mr. Gonzalez. Do I have a second? A second by Dr. Missouri. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is item B, 4-day school calendar, Ms. Garcia.
Three hundred and sixty responses on survey. And the questions were pretty basic. Are you parents are you a community member? Do you work 5 days a week? Impact, things like that. If you look at the it's 75% in favor of the pay schedule, 25% not in favor of the 4-day week. We did look at setting longer school days, shorter holidays, that for an agreement. And others were, no, maybe shorter days. Concerns with the 4-day school week. And 55 responses, that's 3%, that's really no concerns. Holiday breaks, 20% school day, or a few areas. We also did ask child care concerned. One is had question we wanted to was concerned, and based on the survey, 316, 87% that it was not a concern, and 13% said it. Based on impact, 42% that it wouldn't have much impact, 28% minimal impact, 29% was. And that was pretty much the finding in favor for the 4-day school week. We did, and this is for you, I reached out to Healthy Kids New Mexico's agency, Healthy Kids, an agency that will into the school and run a workful and after school and a private population. They provide a private care. It would be for free. They manage the state. The individual who works with it, they gather it. Which from 5:30 to 6:30, that was what we need based on parents and the data we are out of this to be Friday. Any parents who need it, the responsibility to provide the ability for them to step in for grade K through 5 to 12. 8 to 5 to 12. And we would provide them with opportunity. We just do that in the office.
Mr. Brown.
What's the percentage of
What would you put that over on count with 1,000?
With 214 responses for guardians, 82 for staff members, 29 community members, and 61 with students. So that is the breakup of who has been served.
Any
Yes.
I don't know, maybe Ms. Sandoval, being that you come from a district that was a 4-day-a-week calendar, Could you tell us maybe some of the benefits, since most of us.
With myself, we've never been around it for the week.
The biggest benefits, I think that exists, that is, curbs, attendance or absentee issues for both. That is a need and a concern that we have right now. So something that our staff is pulling. That it saves dollars operational cost. I know that there is, and I would think likely so, have starts from our classified employees, particularly our food service and our transportation. And you're reducing that schedule, they're impacted on a day-to-day. But maybe increasing hourly rates, so it's not subject to. At least of what I saw in the previous district they worked at, 12-month employees worked 190 days. So Fridays were off, and we were making adjustments to thermostats, so it was cold heating over the weekend, lighting, all that type of thing. So again, there is a reduced cost in utilities and so on. Instructional time is not necessarily impacted significantly. I would say even at all. One of the things that we saw through research in my former district, we were part of a lawsuit that the school districts had against PED for the conversion of 4-day contract to the 5 days. And what we saw was the majority of those 4-day districts were outperforming 5-day school districts when we're looking at academics. So, if the district does decide to go that route, of course, there should be some adjustment time. We would have an increased state if we look at the number of hours that are required to put in. Our time would increase maybe by 35 minutes or so, 40 minutes, and we still have to do the math to that. But it's we think the paybacks outweigh the length of time. And then we could also offer again what we did in previous districts was we offered an afternoon snack to our elementary through high school kids to kind of offset and give that kind of boost at the end of the day. So it all depends.
I know this sounded like you mentioned before that you were talking about having the district bring back a PTA program.
Correct.
Is that going to have any impact on if you go to 4-day?
No, one of the things that we're looking at is applying for at least 2 classes, which would open up 32 slots for the district that would be a combined 3-year-old and 4-year-old program. They run on the schedule that the school calendar does. So it's 5 days to 5 days or before. The beauty with this program that we met, remember what the name of the person was, but this organization offers that after school care. So we've covered all of the areas that would be potential concerns for families in the district. And then the other component that I would like to explore and have had conversations with our secondary staff in particular is it allows those Fridays to become dual credit in college and career readiness program days for our high school, which one of the pathways that we want to have is a college high school, which our students would then obtain an associate's degree by the time they graduate. So those are all benefits, I believe, that would.
And Ms. Sandra, this is not to approve a calendar in any way. This is to give you approval or direction as to start building options of the calendars of 4-day a week.
Correct.
So we put on that board. So we will need to give our superintendent directions so we can start building models for what a 4-day calendar would look like and give the board, I guess, options at that point.
Yes, and the reason that is it's budget. We won't know the budget and calendar going simultaneously. So if your desire is to proceed with the 4-day option, you know, what that impact would be, and we present both to you all. Our goal would be probably, if we have a corresponding date for our budget, it's going to be due mid-April. So we have to present something to you all in March.
And they are the file here is also, and we can do them, they do homework, help, they do garden reports, they do, art activities, and they provide everything.
Thank you. Ms. Ridder?
Our service on those Fridays, the in-kind is really just they provide staff. We didn't talk about transportation. I don't believe that they do offer transportation, but that would not be an option.
And moving forward, if the board does approve this to be direction to be a 4-day model, you get public input and staff, and I think we had a board member, Dr. Zerk, attend, and they're the ones that created the 2 options or 3 options. We continue to do that. Mr. Miller, do you have anything? You want us to vote?
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the direction to give our superintendent to give a 4-day calendar and start giving the board models of what the calendar is going to be like moving forward.
A second motion.
A motion by Mr. Quintana, a second by Mr. Gonzalez. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion still carries. Thank you, Ms. Garcia. So, Ms. Sandoval, you'll do exactly what you did last year and get back to the board, give them options, get the community involved as to giving them options as what the calendar is going to be.
Correct. We'll continue to survey at the calendar committee, which Ms. Garcia will be putting together. Will give at least 2 very calendar choices, and then we can have. I think it's fair to provide start times and times, what that may look like, as well as and our principals have already been asked in draft instructional skills that would be shared, if you will, with individuals. So I think they need to go.
Thank you, Ms. Sandoval. Next item on the agenda is new business item A, Energy X Global Lighting Proposal.
This is and Brad and Joe regarding the lighting proposal. What I have done on this particular agenda is grade it out events. It's not to go with one or both. But the resolution and I'll give you a scenario of what it look like. And then, so tonight we are not including any contracts or any movement forward. It's really giving me the permission to explore and move this.
Thank you.
We don't looking at the utility bills, but there's something that is pretty clear in regards to July, August, your utility bills. And it has a pretty big impact on the solar project. What we noticed is that when the utilities bill, they bill on that fixed rate. And so for some reason, in June, July, August, it just keeps going up. And if it goes up, then that pump, like the, wall, that's what it's really late. You, like you go out. Everyone, they do it. No, normally, thinking, last time I was here, the lighting project, in our opinion, it's one of, I've never seen a significant savings because the type of license that we current savings calculation. Because I know it's something that needs to have to be involved here, but I have said that, like I said, remember that, the item of the answer, which is we have a few bills, these kind of things to call the, this one said, really consider, I mean, praise the fact that, let's say, a pretty high is too. Because if you go in and do a lot of project, you have exactly what the same is off the line. And it's huge, it's very significant, but it's $188,000. And the reduction in energy costs is like the way. So what we got, collectively, if we, I said that Wisconsin, those spots, June, July, August, and cause that demand charge to go up, it's going to have a significant impact on the way we structure the solar. So we thought, let's not get ahead of this. Let's do one step at a time. So we thought that we can give you the update on how much it looks like solar. Let's ask any questions you like. See what we have.
Go to the next slide, please. Thank you, Joe. Yeah, so the plan that we created is increase the learning environment quality of students, staff, decrease basic expenses, and also conserve financing. The district right now, go through these quickly, this last one. Please. Currently using 2.8 billion kilowatt hour. We estimate 2025 utility plan. It's due to the T12 light above our heads right now. Bill how our light outside buildings throughout. But we're going to attack that. The lighting savings, like you mentioned, that is greatly impact on the natural. Just if you talking. Because PNM bill, your two main components of it are like consumption charges and in the biggest demand. That demand means how much power is moving towards through that meter towards any existing. So it's not just total consumption for the money. Many different. So by doing this in 2 different phases, allow us to really be focused. We can only that the size of that is.
They're open in June for
And then we have some athletic programs going on in the gyms, which they're used on those big spaces. So that's why our chili will probably significantly higher gym.
And we will talk about this too. We may find that there are better things. Rather than just for install, maybe able to install this and that the safety way more cost effective. We still recommend a solar project. We're going to try period of the meeting all time.
So that's what we mentioned that we did want to offer the to the school, because we could get a 10-year payback. So if you have someone to put the solar cost on, you get a 10-year payback. Anything wrong? Let's put the herd soul into it, see if we can better than 10. And we've done that. But I try to sit there, and figure out how to control out the matches. So we do the manager. That's the
The next slide, meeting, and one more. So phase one of this first, section of the project, lighting, record, 546,900. We have made savings of 188,000, and that will be considered. We'll find out exactly. That's new, maybe savings, but not posting like what's all still on that. All along that's being installed right now. Simple payback of 2.4 years. We're getting to 4 years. And 4 years. So that's phase one. Phase one hasn't changed. We haven't qualified thinking about that prior. Phase two is the PV installation. Solar array. I think there was a question last time about whether we could put in a solar project. In our discussion with PNM, not with solar project. Right now, grid in this area is forward subscribed for solar that on our way to it. We wouldn't be able to get a system involved with the or get it online, get it through, get it to rebate that. Really makes it fun. So we're back to that, back to individual location. Any questions on that? Right. So we're just under red one on our total offset system. We'll be using, currently use American made bifacial panel so that we can get the 10% American made powder. We'll talk about powders to investment factor. But basically what that means is the investment starts at 30% of the project. There we have additional 10% increments that we can also add on to that budget. We use American made module, because you're in decommissioned full ground, automatically get that 10% higher. So we'll be working. We've estimated the project right now 40% investment. We think we're going to be working on. So we've changed a few things on the locations. The local route now. We moved to the field just behind. That is, none of these are final. We're still working on these, but that's the location. We place that right now. Block around the day. Still good.
If you're not impacted by snow load. And so, under this rule, and by all that, you all have snow load, but you have a simple. But people plan there, it's very mistaken.
Is it as expensive putting it on the ground mount as it is putting on a roof mount?
That I Mr. Chairman, is because that school is renovated and you have the warranty on those roofs that if we do any type of penetration would avoid the warranty. Yeah. So the ground mount would be a better scenario.
That's also something we can maximum flexibility. We anticipate complete repair of that home building. We continue with the block both are not finished. Those were roof mounts. Our last meeting, we continue to support that. We do have a little bit of risk with the mitigation building. We have what it is approved by the city and getting engineering approval. Getting approval of permits, wait. Very fast, won't know until we get them. We can always change order, issue a change order, and pull that mount out of the system. There is a little bit of room in the rear of the building for a 10-foot carport. Right now, we're going to continue with the roof mount until we find out. So the total projected cost for the solar installation right now is $2.7 million. We anticipate annual energy savings of $2,000 with a 12.2-year payback on just the solar. And $5.9 million.
Here, usually, if plans go through, you don't.
Sure. I guess depending on how many, if we have, we anticipate doing there won't be roof elevation. Not be that. If it is this kind of level.
The last back. It's part of the formal.
Expect the life of that.
Yeah.
Look on that one. There's a 30-year. And a 15-year panel cell. That because it's American made. That is, but by getting that 10% out of it, you can get 25 years to put that. And I don't recommend that because there's no guarantee of 3% out to agree.
On all the panels be great.
Yeah.
I think it's a 30-year guarantee of 87.5%.
That would be your output, but
There's only added meeting.
no, so the fact that you like to put in one for the reno, that the neighbor goes out, the panel goes out. You want to, so long as your inverter is running warranty, your panel is running warranty. One thing that I suggest is that you have a risk management tool. You also grab on your system. So that may be an additional insurance cost for that total system. You can have you're covered on the picture along, middle on. You tell them you can't have panels, you gotta tell them. So some they don't know. Be my recommendation.
Any other questions? More? Superintendent?
Just a couple other things to add. You can reach out to the other about contacting and moving forward. Because it is an independent project, it's not required PSFA contracts or a percentage funding from them. We are able to see. With the resolution, we left it open-ended. Last time they were the answer state purchasing. And there was some question on that, so we need to ensure that before we move forward with them at all, is that we go through RFP for that Ms. Gonzalez ensures that they are under tips. There's several national ones, but we've left it open to where we would be able to call direct. Other than that, I would recommend approval for both.
Got a motion to approve both lighting projects and solar projects. Mark?
We were bringing. We have a resolution. For the phase two. Come back. It's still gonna take approval by the tenant. We need to see. But you can develop it now, later. Our recommendation to do the lighting project, so we can get full evaluation of the low. That finished plan and. What's the kind of, having numbers to the soul. But if we were able to get the resolution. And nothing at the street, no contract. And you know, have office ratings.
Right now, in the resolution, we have language in there that states the number not to exceed these numbers. So they won't be changing after the resolution, unless it comes back.
Just confirm.
It's with signature, what was the signature? On the contract, Steve B. Water. All the resolutions that we are you're approved.
In that resolution, you stated phase one and phase two. Okay, so I have a motion by Mr. Romero there to approve, phase one and phase two. So a motion by Mr. Romero, all second it. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Close, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Look forward to the savings. Thank you both. This was item A and B on our new business under our agenda. So we're going to be going to item C, report on personnel leave of absence and stuff consent.
Mr. Chairman. For an employee, I have to present his request to you as policy G2900 does not allow me the authority to approve leave beyond 12 weeks. So if you wouldn't mind coming up.
I think I want to be back to work. Yeah, talking about that.
Any questions? Yes, Mr.
I
Mayor.
have been working on this resolution for future. January 2020.
Great. I have a motion by Mr. Romero. Do I have a second? A second by Mr. Gonzalez. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Close, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, sir. Good luck over there. And on the agenda, item B, the capital outlay request, Seminole.
Yes, Mr. Chair. This is just discussion. It is not an item for approval. What I did want to share with you outside of my board report for a legislative request that I submitted last week. We had a timeline of December 12th, I believe that Friday. And reaching out to my directors and staff There were requests for replacements, so we have put in, for a request of $255,000 for new activity bus. This would be a replacement. We have also, or I have also submitted a request for $375,000 purchase. Well, I don't have to purchase. It would be new building HVAC management system and controls for Los Niños. Still with the construction, Mr. Archuleta, and his team continue to have fluctuations in cold rooms or super hot rooms. So the request would be to help us correct that issue that exists. Unfortunately not. When this project was completed, it was already beyond 3 years. And warranties for all of that equipment, control and everything exceeded that timeline. So this would be to help us manage heating and the cooling. Yeah. So that is one project, and then I submitted another for 2 district maintenance vehicles, 2 trucks with omnibus and tow packages. That is a total of $145,000. Right now we are short vehicles or adequate vehicles for our maintenance department to use, so you'll see them paired up. My vision would be for them to be assigned into roles and tasks, so they don't have to be partnered up and traveling together to me. It's inefficient. And the vehicles that we have are already beyond their life expectancy, so that would be efficient for them. And then the very last one that I have is a request for 2 full-size SUVs that is at $140,000. And again, it would be to replace the 3 Suburban that we have right now. What we would be doing, what I was very clear with Ms. Ibisu, we get rid of. So if we are able to obtain any of these vehicles, we would come to the board again for disposal of those ones. But what we are actually looking at is being traded for to get some return. But again, this is just for your information. So speak to our legislators. Things would be the acts that come before them.
Good. Thank you. Item E, sport utility purchase.
Yes, so with this one, there was an appropriation, I believe last year, before me, so it would have been 2024, I believe. There was a request for again, a sports utility vehicle for $75,000 that was awarded. That was capital appropriation I-298. And these funds expired June of 2026. So the request at that point in time was to support the digital media and arts classes. However, if you recall last year, probably around this time, I did not approve. It came back and said we don't need a go for one program. Again, because this money is appropriated, it would be a district use, not for a program or a club use only. So my request to the board is approval for this purchase. It's slightly under the $75,000, but again, it would be K-12 benefit for all students. So
Approval for this,
I need approval for the purchase.
and this capital appropriation, I don't think it was in 24, I think it was 23.
Maybe 23. It was before. It will expire to
We'll waste the money.
do.
I have a motion to approve the, is there any further discussion? If not,
Right, but the initial request was specifically for that, so I just wanna make it known that it would be used for everybody.
Make a motion that we approve the sport utility vehicle purchase. Do I have a second? I have a motion and I have a second by Mr. Gonzalez. Do I have, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item is student report. We don't have a representative tonight. So the next item would be superintendent report. Madam Superintendent.
My report, I just want to start off, by acknowledging and thanking you, Mr. Quintana, and Mr. Cordova, for the service to the district the last 4 years. You know, for the last year and a half, the privilege to work alongside you and your guidance, so thank you for the leadership. My staff, we did sign some cards for you today. And for Mr. Cordova, so I'll put this to you before the end of the meeting, but you know, I know it takes up a lot of time from all of you. I just want to let you know that
Thank you.
it was greatly appreciated. We wish you well on your extra time. I guess we'll be recouping.
Thank you.
There's not anything major to highlight on my report, for the exception of number 4. And this is the GSFA, emergency funding to complete the Robertson and Memorial Middle School, fire panel, work. So it is on your agenda, but I am hoping that I would be allowed to sign a contract, for emergency funding that, PSFA has committed. I'll be looking at 150,000 to get the project started and paid out with what is owed by PSFA to Summit. What is owed is through PSFA, not through the district. And as I showed before, Summit will not proceed with the work until they are paid for the work that they're done. So they have finally gone through the process. I received an application on Tuesday after the agenda had been put out. So the ask, and I know it's not a necessarily approval, but I'm hoping to bring back a ratification for that in January. But when we this evening, so PSFA can begin the paperwork and get Summit back on the schedule. No, but what I'm saying is I'm hoping to come back for a ratification. But right. No, not ratified. Right, January. If that's the case, then we wouldn't be able to proceed into commercial. We can't. And actually, the application indicates that it can be a 24-hour notice because it's titled as emergency funding. So if you guys would be willing to entertain that, and thank you for that. We could get it done sooner. And so my goal really is to try to get that jump started now before, so they have a couple of weeks to move forward. So if you guys before the next.
I agree with Mr. Romero. It's on the agenda. We can do that, and going in saying that we're gonna do it ratified. It's not good to do that, because you're planning on doing a ratification and it's, yeah. So it'd be better if we do a special meeting or do an emergency meeting, and you're stating that we can do emergency for the fact that it's stated emergency funding. So that's something if you wanna get, and then just get some clarification, make sure we can do that, because I know usually when you call for an emergency meeting, you have to get AG approval. So just make sure on that, and then let us know, and if not, we could do a special meeting.
Okay.
And then just let us know, we can do it by phone or whatever. Yeah. Yeah, it'll just be one item. So that's, I don't have a problem with that. Sounds good.
What else we have? The only other major one, and ask that for the to date, or as of November 30th, is a little over 44,000. Our eligibility rate has, so we anticipate to have an increased revenue from last year, which is good at $194,000 for this school year. But reporting and I'm losing the language here. The billing from our providers is coming in on a time fashion, so we'll be okay. What documentation do you need? Well, that would be contracting and or personnel information. I don't believe that's I can ask Dimas to provide that for us.
Just make sure.
And we are.
Well, I think we need to get a clarification. I think you need to contact the attorney, because that's day-to-day, and you can't be stepping into day-to-day. That's not the board's purview. So make sure that you ask the attorney about that, and then you don't need to provide it if it's day-to-day. I assume we'll get a clarification from Mr. Ortiz on that.
I guess the other thing would be is that the desire, the entire.
I don't know. Ms. Beckinger. You might mention to the attorney that. Right, okay.
And the very last thing that I want to highlight again is warranted as an update on a monthly basis is the revenue for our gate receipts for athletics. Last year's revenue, as I mentioned before, was $78,732. To date, we have already generated $75,059. So we're a little less than 1,000 shy of what we made all of last year. So, I think that the change that we made obviously indicates and shows that going to cashless, I think that in that program has yielded some very positive results.
Not to mention that last year we gave less staff and students in free, and now we are initially more revenue.
That is
Well, yes, Mr. Mayor.
Still don't see consistent. Still don't have needs the property extended.
I just don't know that we are supposed to discuss only that item only. So if it's something that we're going to do, but it would go ahead and something. Yeah, it is.
right. And there was no record.
I think moving forward, the proper protocol would be any board members that want anything on the agenda, it goes to the board president. And at that time, the board president and superintendent can put it on the agenda. I think Madam Superintendent, you're still sending out text messages to all members to see if there's anything you would like added to the agenda.
To the agenda.
Just moving forward, make sure that we're spending the agenda. Do you have anything else, Madam Superintendent?
Any questions for our administrators? Some of them are still here.
No. Cool. Next item on the agenda, thank you, Madam Superintendent. Next item on the agenda is executive session. Thank you. Motion on the session. I have a motion by Mr. Gonzalez. I have a second. I have a second by Dr. Missouri. Roll call, please.
Board Member Dennis Romero.
Yes.
Board Member David Cordova. Board Secretary Dr. Joyce Meserve. Board Vice President Paul Gonzalez. Board President Michael Quintana.
Thank you. The Board of Education will convene in closed session pursuant to NMSA 1978, section 1015(1)(h)(7), discussion of triangle pending litigation, Archuleta versus Las Vegas City Schools, Rubin versus Las Vegas City Schools, and Reyes versus Las Vegas City Schools. Item B, the Board of Education will convene in closed session pursuant to NMSA 1978, section 1015(1)(h)(2), discussion of limited personnel matters, review and discussion of identifiable certified employee contracts. We are now in executive session of 6:21.